Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Reset Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Munoz, CEO of the experience agency D-Flash. Each week, I bring on a different person from business who's doing some game-changing work, and this week's episode is no different. I'm super excited to be part of the Podcast Row Globe Podcast Network experience, where we're interviewing amazing women from around the world, and this interview is part of that incredible series. I'm so excited to have Amber Wuollet, who's Director of Marketing at Bold Penguin and the host of The Insurance Notary, on the show. It's going to be a great conversation, and I can't wait to hear what she's got to say. Take a listen. Hey, Amber.
Hey, Laura. Thanks so much for having me on.
Sure. We're so glad to have you here in semi-warm New York. Kidding. As you head back to a blizzard in Minnesota. So enjoy the weather now before you get to the
windy
snow.
But warm and not snowy. So take it while I can have it.
Like, hey, listen, I any day it's not snowing in New York in January, February, the better and happier I am always going to be.
100% agree.
So you listen to the podcast, you know the deal. First question is always the same. People's answers are hilarious and funny and oftentimes very heartening. So I'm sure yours will be no different. Mm-hmm. So Amber, what was your first job?
So my first job was at a housekeeper at American, and I was so excited to have my first job that I actually dreamed about it for weeks before. So I was 13 years old. And
so you were 13 going to be a housekeeper.
I was desperate.
Child labor laws?
So apparently there's a few different tourism places you can work at age 14. So I was researching when I was age 13. And by researching, I mean looking through the yellow pages because
there was no internet.
I don't want to date myself, but this is pre-internet. So I was looking at hotels. American was the first. It was A. So it was first in the yellow book listings. I called them up. I showed up at age 13 and 11 months. I was like, can I have an application? They're like, well, you're not 14 yet. Like, well, I'm going to take the application and I'm going to make the best application you have ever seen. And the day I turned 14, I'm coming back and you're giving me a job.
What state was this?
Minnesota.
So this was still Minnesota where
Yes.
child labor laws seem to be sketch.
So I could only work, I think I could work 20 hours a week or something.
What? At 14?
At 14,
Again, child labor laws. What is going on in Minnesota? Okay.
So looking back, I'm like, I can't believe my parents agreed to this. But I started the day after I turned 14. They hired me and I
Because you're like, sure, kid. Go ahead and make our beds.
I cleaned hotel rooms until I was 16, and then I moved on to waiting tables and stuff. So
wow.
Yes.
So, oh my gosh. Wait, you were cleaning hotel rooms at 14? Oh my God, the stuff you must have seen.
I agree. It may have been a little inappropriate, but
I just... oh my God.
But I got $6 an hour, which was at the time. I mean, that was huge. That was more money than you can make babysitting. So
yeah, that's basically what it was.
I was killing the corporate game at 14. So what can I say?
So you're 14, and so you learned about the hospitality industry and how people will leave stuff in their hotel rooms.
I mean, it was kind of a good education. I learned kind of how a business is run. From having a supervisor, a little glimpse into the working world and how to work hard and meet deadlines and set goals. I had my room goals and quality metrics. And so there was kind of a good insight, but maybe, a little young probably. I hope my kids don't do that.
Little young. Okay. Did you get tips?
I did occasionally. A buck or two.
Really? I never understood that. I tip every single time I was in a hotel. I've come across more people who don't tip, and I'm like, they're cleaning. You're what? I'm appalled by that. I'm like, listen, you're cleaning up after this hotel. I mean, granted, I'm staying there for a day. I don't care, $5. Because it's the right thing to do.
Well, from the housekeepers of the world, I thank you. Okay, well. We thank you.
Awesome. So you're in Minnesota. You're 14 years old, breaking every child labor law. How do you end up at Bold Penguin? What's that story?
It's kind of a long, twisty story, but I'll jump ahead. Did my undergrad at the University of Wisconsin.
Oh, you were a Badger.
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
cool.
And now I did my grad at the University of Minnesota, so I'm kind of half Badger, half Gopher, and now I'm moving to Ohio, so I'm going to be Buckeye, so I'm going to have all kinds of multiple personalities here.
It's but which team will you root for? You can only be one.
Gophers.
Ah, gotcha.
Born and raised in Minnesota.
That's what you've done. You go for it.
So yes, I did that, and then tooled around for a couple of years after undergrad. Lived overseas for a couple of years, mostly around Europe, and then came back in 2007 and decided I wanted to do the whole corporate America thing. Thought I would give it a try. And at the time, there was a big office near my hometown for American Family Insurance. I'm like, what better like corporate experience than like American Family, which is the American dream, right? Mm-hmm. So I joined American Family in 2007 thinking it would be a short stint before I moved on to something, fun and glamorous and cool. And 13 years later, I am still in the insurance industry. So I guess you could
love
say
it so.
I got sucked in. It's actually really fun. So that's one thing that I think I did, I know I did not expect was to find a career, in insurance. But yes, I spent 10 years with American Family Insurance doing like underwriting operations, did some project work. And then as I was wrapping up my MBA at the University of Minnesota, I switched over to the product and marketing side, and really enjoyed that. So I really found my passion and like a creative outlet in that side of the industry. Whereas underwriting it's really interesting. It's a lot of like risk management and spreadsheets and stuff like that. So the product and marketing side just felt like a natural fit for like my personality and skill set. So, and then made my way over to Bold Penguin last summer. So they're in the insurance technology space. And the reason I'm moving to Ohio next year, actually this year, it's 2020.
You said it's 2020.
Oh my goodness.
You're like, oh boy,
fast.
we're done.
So yeah, I'm commuting from Minnesota for the time being. It's a little chaotic. It's a little chaotic.
How are you even? Okay, women do this. We know. We know this is what our gender does. Like, okay, we'll just make that work.
Yeah, we'll make it work.
How long is the flight from Ohio?
It's like an hour and a half, so it's not too bad. There's 4 directs from Delta a day, so that's the only way it works.
So you fly in the morning and back out the night, or you stay a couple days?
So I have an apartment downtown Columbus. So it's usually I'm like Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night in Columbus, and then the rest of the time in Minnesota, or this week New York City or Hartford or wherever else there's an insurance thing going on. But yeah, I'm usually gone 2 to 3 nights a week at least.
Dang.
So it's a little hectic. It's a little hectic.
So what do you now do with Bold Penguin? Because I think a lot of times, there's been a lot of interesting shifts in what people think about for insurance, and like with the advent of like Esurance and Lemonade, all these different I think it's sort of democratized the experience around insurance. So how is sort of what you do at Bold Penguin, obviously on the product side because you are building stuff that makes good sense, been able to sort of help people get a better understanding and grasp of that?
Yeah, so you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what the space that we're playing in insurance technology, insurtech, and it's all about doing just that. It's about, and for us, that means making things simpler and easier and faster. So we're laser focused on the property and casualty commercial space. So like if you're a business owner, up until, yes, as I'm sure many of you are, up until, our platform came along, it could take weeks, sometimes, and many times months to get a commercial insurance policy.
I know. I've been on this road. Yes. I own an events company. So I have 4 massive insurance policies. Commercial, errors and omission. And then I've got 2 jumbo umbrella ones that basically are just in case of, one for $5 million and one for $10 million. And they all couldn't be one policy because that doesn't work.
Why make it easy?
Why?
So you can relate. It's like, it's a huge time suck. And then on the other end, you've got this agent who's calling around to, 15 different insurance companies. Will you take this policy? Will you take this one? Will you take this one? How much will you offer? Oh, now you need more information. On and on and on and on. So our technology jumps in and replaces all of that legwork. So there's a few things that it does. One of the parts I think is the coolest is that the U.S. government has over 19,000 classifications for business. So like, if you're a nail salon that does manis and pedis, that's like one category. If you do that and facials, that's another category. So it's like endless, the complexity around businesses. So our technology can use natural language processing to identify the type of business, first of all. So it's getting into the right category. Mm-hmm. And then on the other side, we've got agents and insurance companies who've said, I want to insure these types of businesses. I want to insure these types of businesses. So there's no calling around. There's no entering in 14 different applications or, entering the wrong NAICS code. It's the technology does all that in the middle.
Wow. So, because as someone who literally lives in insurance monthly, because we do events, oftentimes we're calling to get a certificate of insurance because some venue needs that.
Yeah.
Are you guys making life easier for that neck of the woods? Please say yes. Because if you do, you have a new customer right now. I swear, because I hate it. It's no longer me that does it. It's like my executive producers, but then I have to sign it.
Oh, yes. Yeah, there's a lot of people attacking that area. So our main points of contacts is with agencies and carriers and those that support small businesses. But that is just a perfect example of all of the nuances and kind of ridiculous legwork that involves with insurance right now. And that's why the InsurTech movement, kind of like following the fintech movement, was kind of born, is that there was all this technology that wasn't really being leveraged in the insurance space to make things like that a lot easier. There's no reason why we should have such manual processes in place and let people do things they want to do, the parts, the human to human parts, not all the paperwork pushing parts.
There's zero reason I should send an email, wait for someone in that office to see it, and then go ahead and do it. I should be able to push a button and then get one. Like, put in some information, here's all, and then, you have one. Thank you.
That's taking time away from what you need to do to run your business and grow your business. So, insurance shouldn't be the bottleneck that prevents a contractor from getting a job or you from putting on an event. It should be supporting. It shouldn't be hindering. And that's the whole point of Bold Penguin and a lot of the other insurtechs out there that are trying to solve these problems.
And so how did you get to Bold Penguin? You were like, I've been in insurance for a while, but the technology side is something kind of cool and interesting.
Yeah, great question. So I actually was watching the InsurTech movement, which kind of started gaining momentum in 2015 with a lot of skepticism. So it's all of these companies popping up saying, all you old insurance companies, you're going to be out of business. All of the, the agencies, they're going to be out of business. We're going to replace all you with our technology. And I'm sitting back at my insurance company like, I don't think you understand how complex this industry is. Good luck. But I saw Bold Penguin coming out in 2016 with the opposite message of most of the insurtech companies. They were coming out saying, yeah, there's a reason this industry is complex. We get it. There's 50 different states, 50 different playbooks. We get it. And we aren't here to take anyone out of the equation. We're here to make technology in the middle that connects carriers with agents and small businesses and helps classify risk and move the process forward. But we aren't here to replace agents. We aren't here to be an insurance company. We're a technology pure play approach. And I thought that was so fascinating because coming from the insurance company side, that resonated with me.
Like, you're not trying to put my funds at work. Thank you.
Yes. I appreciate your messaging. And you know what? Those companies that said they were going to put us all out of business, they didn't. They're out of business.
Exactly.
So yes, I was kind of a Bold Penguin fangirl. I subscribed to the newsletter, sort of following them at all the conferences. And I was like, they're doing some really cool stuff. So when a friend of mine introduced me, I was like, you know what? Your skill set and your passion for the industry really seems to align with what Bold Penguin is doing. I feel like you should talk to Ilya. That's our CEO and founder, Ilya Bodner. So one conversation, and talked to Ilya, talked to a few folks, Mark Hara, our COO. I was in. I'm like, all right.
I already drank the Kool-Aid now.
Now we're
just cheers.
Yes, I am thrilled. So I obviously, not every company would I be willing to commute across the Midwest for and live this hectic lifestyle. Bold Penguin is the only one that I would do this for. And moving my whole family to Ohio this year.
Wow.
Apparently it's 2020. So moving my whole family there in a few months for Bold Penguin. That's how much I believe in their mission and the work that they're doing, and just a perfect marriage.
So how are you dealing with like traveling all this time, managing your family? Like, how do you sleep?
Not often. I'm trying to get better at that. So yeah, it's just day by day. So I try to look at my week ahead and like, what can I do in this week ahead? So like this morning, I'm like, okay, this morning I'm sleeping in a little bit. I'm not going to get up and work out. I'm not going to get up and, have a fancy breakfast. I'm focusing on sleep this morning. So I did that. But then tomorrow I'll be back at it. And I think self-care is a really important thing. And for me, that means doing some kind of body movement, whether that's a run or yoga or the gym. So fitting that in. But I'm really lucky in that I have incredible support. So my husband, Kyle, is just absolutely outstanding in his support of me and my career and our dreams as a family. And our families are very supportive. So I've got a lot of love around me there. And then it's just balancing all the different competing priorities. So fitting it all in sometimes means today I don't get that one thing in, but tomorrow I do that thing. So especially with my YouTube series, I'm always figuring out like, okay, I've got 20 minutes while I wait for my plane. What can I research, So that's just kind of ad hoc, a little bit chaotic, but so far it's working, knock on wood.
So how is Boat Penguin now incorporated, headquartered in Ohio, and that's why you guys are moving?
Yes, yep. They are in their main headquarters is in Columbus, Ohio.
And so you're like, you know what? This is worth the shot, so we're going to shoot the shot.
Yeah, and it's just, there's nowhere like it. So I could do remote, and I guess I'm partly remote now. I work from, I would say home, but mostly airports, but I'm not in the office.
Yeah.
But I love the team so much, and I love the environment and the culture that Boat Penguin has, and I want to be part of it. I want to be in the office, and especially like the work that I do is very creative. It's very collaborative. I'm on the marketing side, but I need to know what the tech side, I need to know what the engineers are doing. I need to know what the sales team is doing, and having those face-to-face conversations on the daily for me is really, really helpful. That's how I work best. So to me, it's worth making the move over.
Awesome. So, okay, you've got this YouTube series, which I took a look at. And you basically make sense of this insanity that is the world of insurance. Bless you. What made you decide to do that?
So that is something that I had marinated on, this idea of making videos for a long time, because I felt like there were a lot of voices out there that were speaking the agency world. A lot of fantastic voices that I still follow, podcasts and videos. But I didn't see a ton of conversations around those on the insurance company side, like on the carrier side. And it can be kind of isolating. So if you're in a large carrier, your world is that carrier. So I wanted to bring some of the industry, like the events and the trends and news, to everyone. So to those that are in carriers, those who don't get out to conferences, those that do but can't be everywhere, right? And also to agencies to kind of share with them what's going on in the carrier world, because it's easy to be in your silo and be like, oh, well, agencies are doing X, Y, Z. If they would do ABC, it would really help me in the carrier world, but you're not always communicating. So how do we all share knowledge and converse together?
You democratize the insurance landscape.
Oh, I think that's the goal, right? But for me, it was really like, how do I do this? So that was what was my hesitancy for so long, is like, I'm not an expert in any one area. So like, what right do I have to, show up and make a video about it? So for me, the way that I approach it is really as not taking myself too seriously. Starting the conversation is how I look at my videos. It's opening the door. Okay, I'm researching this goal setting methodology, or this new change to innovation ranking. This is what I have found. These are my thoughts. What do you think? And then that leads to so many great conversations. So I host them on YouTube, but I also share them on LinkedIn. And that's where most of the conversation tends to happen, is on LinkedIn and in messages, and then follow-up coffee dates. And that's where the conversations really happen. And that's just been, for me, the biggest gift of doing it and why I keep doing it, week after week, month after month, because I learned so much and it's given so much back to me personally and professionally.
Well, it's cool. I mean, I think it's a really neat way that you've become a thought leader in an industry that it's oftentimes kind of a dark cloud for people. Or when the only time they care about that is when something has gone terribly wrong.
Very accurate. Claim time.
So for you to sort of be able to kind of make insurance accessible to everybody, no matter what side of the house, is pretty awesome. So back to that self-care question. So you're on a plane all the time. So that means time for Amber is like, so what is the thing that you do? Like, is it like I'm going to go grab a glass of wine at the bar at the airport? Or is it like I'm going to make sure I do some stretching before I get on the plane? Like, what's sort of your self-care routine while you're sort of shuffling your family and yourself, but also like keeping focused and centered on what you've got to do?
Yeah, that's a challenge that I knew was going to be very present because I always traveled for work, but never like I do now.
Right.
So I knew going in, I'm like, I'm going to have to find a way to make this work. So one of the things that I really started doing is scheduling out time that is non-negotiable. And one of those things is gym time. So I joined a gym. That is like I think it's actually international, so I can go anywhere. So wherever I am, so like I went to the one in Manhattan yesterday. So making that a priority over everything, because everything else is a greater priority, that's why, because I'm better at everything else if I take that self-care time, if I like sweat out some toxins and some stress. I'm a better Amber to be around. But making that non-negotiable. So signing up for the class a week in advance. And luckily for me, this gym does charge you if you don't show up. So that's like
bingo incentive. Awesome incentive.
So I kind of need that sometimes. I think it's like $12 or something.
Doesn't matter.
It's
money. It's still your money that you work for. So,
Exactly. And I'm already paying, a lot for the stupid membership. So I don't want to pay an extra $12. So anyway, so that gets me, makes me focus. It helps me focus on making sure I set that time aside. And then just stretching, because physically it's very demanding to be in airplanes and that all that travel for so much. So I do like very easy light yoga. I'm like the least coordinated, least flexible person in the world.
You can do a half a dog. Halfway up downward dog. I got you. Yeah. Knees are also on the mat. It's all good.
Yeah, I really, really like just moving my body a little bit. And then I also have like a meditation app on my phone. So I have like a post-travel one.
Oh, awesome.
And it's just like refocusing on your breathing and like aligning to where you are in that moment and not thinking 10 miles ahead every second. I think I really need that reminder sometimes, like living in the present, enjoying this moment right here, not like constantly shuffling through my mental to-do list of, I need to get these things for the kids' school next week, and then I have to get, I need to tell so-and-so about that meeting, and then we've got the conference next week, blah, 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 blah. And just slow down, chill, breathe, and appreciate this moment. So those are kind of some of the cornerstones that help me stay centered and sane throughout this hectic phase of my life.
Awesome. That's a fantastic way to end the show. Thank you so much, Amber. We'll be putting all the information about Bold Penguins. So if you've got a small business and you want to use their services, awesome. As well as listen to your really cool YouTube series. Because I think, again, making it sensible and easy for people is just so lovely. And I want to share that with the world. But thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me on. It was a blast chatting with you.
Awesome. And that's our show.